War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live. We are live here late at night. It's usually morning or midday when we do these things. So I know it's a little weird for all of those of you out there. Some of you are probably watching this on the replay at this moment. You're like, what the heck is going on? Why are you going this late? Well, we had some big news today, so I thought we'd talk about it a little bit. Anyway, welcome. If this is your first time here, we appreciate you stopping by. If you return, or welcome back. We are broadcasting live on two different formats at the same time. Tonight, obviously, always in front of me, the YouTube folks. They're loud and proud as always. And then we're going on Twitter as well tonight off here to my side. So feel free to chime in whenever you feel like it, to say hello, War Eagle, to let me know that you're here. That's always very much appreciated. The big news today, well, actually, honestly, guys, we had some more breaking news. And to be completely honest here, the pattern continues. I was getting ready to go live about an hour ago when the news broke about Coach Eason coming to be the defensive line coach. And we were going to talk mainly about the schedule that was announced today by Auburn. That was the big news item before that happened. But that the football schedule for 2021 had been officially finalized and announced, and we're still gonna talk about that mainly, but I am sure that many of you want to speculate on Coach Eason, his arrival here at Auburn. So those are some of the things on tap today, tonight, that we can talk about. But if you want to talk about anything else in the Auburn spectrum, it is fair game here, so please feel free to do so, to post comments and questions as we go along. As we always do at the beginning of the show, let me share with you a couple of things that we have going on here on the network. We just posted a brand new episode of Inside the Jungle, breaking down that awesome win. How about that win, folks? Beating number 12 Missouri at home in Auburn Arena. That was a sweet, sweet, sweet win. So good. Right now, I'm going to bring up the cue card for those of you that are on YouTube. You can check it out here. The ways that you can help support this YouTube channel, but more specifically our podcast network, our media network, if we kind of start phrasing it that way as a whole. I've also, in the YouTube chat, put the link for Apple Podcasts. If you want to go check out the podcast that we have there, as I said, the Inside the Jungle, breaking down the men's basketball game, is live if you want to check that out as of today. And there are some many, many other great shows that you want to check out, ranging on topics from Auburn football, Auburn track and field, everything in between. It's there. You want to go check that out. Also, if you want to help support the content that we do here, you can join the E2C Network Booster Club at patreon.com/E2C Network. That link is available for you. If you wanted to check that out, you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. And as I've been trying to help people understand too, you can actually sign up for that $1 a month and get some of the stuff and not be charged until the beginning of the month right now. So probably worth you at least go over there and check it out, see if it's worth your time to help support what we do here. That's the stuff I have. As you're coming in, please do make sure that you smash that like button, whether you're watching on social media or you're watching here on YouTube. It does help the stream out because we want to make sure we have as many Auburn fans as part of the conversation as we can. So let's say hello and catch up and chat here with some of the people that are here. Stereotypical Auburn fan just cuts right to the chase. He just go ahead and answers the question at the top. 9-3 with losses to A&M, LSU, and Bama. Stream over. We're done at this point. We'll come back around to that, yes, and talk about that. Thomas is here. Good to see you. Josh is celebrating Nick Eason to Auburn. Kenneth says, liking the schedule, except middle part, but 5-0 start going into LSU and MSU. MSU mean Mississippi State, I guess, before Bama works, and happy with the defensive line coach. Best case is 10-2. Worst case is 6-6. Not a bad situation right there. If your worst is going 500 in a transition year, I think that you could do a much, much worse than that. War Eagle from Boise, Idaho. Now, Andrew, I have to ask the question of you, sir. Are you an Auburn fan in Boise, or are you by proxy an Auburn fan because we now have Bryan Harsin? That's what I want to know. So post that in there, excuse me, and let us know about that one. I think he's actually better than Rocker, talking about Eason from First Impressions. Well, let's be honest here, stereotypical Auburn fan. Rocker's left a bad taste in their mouth. So really anybody at this point is going to look better first impressions wise because Rocker left it the way he did. And it's the way it is. So I'm not trying to downgrade your optimism about that, but it's real easy to feel that way right now. Thomas says the Missouri win was a lot of fun to watch. Great game. I mean, it was just a highlight after highlight after highlight. That was some fun Auburn basketball last night. And it was against a good team, and it was a great game as well. Back and forth. Obviously Missouri was down. They came back, took a lead. Auburn came and got a lead again. Great stuff all the way around. It's been a fun week so far in Auburn news here. I mean, obviously it started off kind of bad with Tracy Rocker deciding to leave, but we got a new defensive line coach. They released the schedule. Track and field got going again this past weekend. Basketball's playing well right now. So yeah, a lot of good things going on at the moment. By the way, now not being over happy, but I think LSU's losing streak and death finally gets the RIP. Yeah, look, I do think it's completely time for that to happen, and I think it will. I do think, even though this year is uncharacteristic of a team that has struggled, a team that was the defending champions, we haven't seen a team struggle that way that LSU did in quite some time. I don't foresee them having the same amount of struggles, but I foresee them having some struggles. So we'll see how far that goes in, but right now I would say things look pretty good the way things set up for Auburn going into that LSU game. And by the way, I'll kind of give you a little preview right here. I've got the cue card or the here on YouTube. You guys can't see it on Twitter. By the way, folks on Twitter, if y'all ever want to get the technically better experience, because we technically stay longer over here for them anyway, you should come on over to the YouTube channel and check it out over here. But there is the cue card that they released today. We'll kind of keep going back and forth referencing that as we talk about some of these things tonight. By proxy, Bryan is awesome sauce. Jack says 10-2, throwing out predictions. And then Stereotypical Auburn fan says, I just now remembered the 2017 LSU game, and he's got the sad emoji. I mean, I think, honestly, we all felt that way during that. I was in the student section. No, wait. No. I was not in the student section. I was in Orlando, Florida at a conference, trying in the middle of this to keep up what's going on. And we had an LSU fan at that conference, and I remember talking to him that morning before the game started. And I said, all right, look, I know this is our big rivals and all that kind of stuff. He was a nice guy too. So, took what it looked at the time like going to be an Auburn win, was taking it well, and then handled it humbly at the end when Auburn did come back. And I'll never forget, I was standing after the conference in line to get on a bus, and then the news came through that Auburn lost to LSU and gave up their chance to take down LSU in Baton Rouge and end the streak. So now we have an opportunity to do it again. It's way, way overdue. Getting some revenge on USC will be great as well. Yes, so there's a lot of good things to like about this schedule. So let's go ahead and say the obvious right here. We're assuming that this schedule is going to happen, right? 2020 was a one for the yearbooks. We wish it wasn't part of the yearbooks, but it was one for the yearbooks. So who knows what's going to happen this year? Will we all have to shut down? It depends on who you ask and what agendas they have. But I do think that you need to take everything with a grain of salt and just say a little prayer and hope that things are going to work out the way that it looks like right now. But I'm happy that we've got some optimism, right? Coach Bryan Harsin even tweeted out, said can't wait for Jordan-Hare Stadium to be packed. He said that earlier this week. Packed being the operative term there. So I do hope that we will have a full season, play a full season. But I also hope that we will be able to get back to some semblance of normalcy. Do I expect it? No. I don't think we'll be back to full capacity stadiums in any stretch of the imagination. I think we'll be lucky to get 50, but I'll take it at this point because that's a better chance I can get into a game. Watch out for the Trickeration Nation out of a new playbook. Interesting. Positive. Sharif Cooper is freaking awesome. Yes, Sharif Cooper is an absolute beast. You see these guys come in being highly touted, highly regarded, have all the potential in the world, and more often than not, a lot of them don't pan out to the full potential you expected. But my gosh, Sharif Cooper, dude, he was born to play point guard. And enough said. Absolutely, an incredible player. Yehan says we low-key got a massive upgrade at defensive line coach. I think it's a little. Let me just caution everybody here. I think it's a bit rushed to say that this was an upgrade. I get it. So let's talk about context and emotions. So the emotions of this situation are Tracy Rocker came home, stayed for like less than 2 weeks, and then jilted us and went off somewhere else. That's the emotions of the situation. So everybody right now seems like an upgrade. Nick Eason comes in with some NFL talent, which we don't have, or an NFL pedigree, which we don't really have a lot on this staff, which is something to think about and consider about him. So I do like that. I don't think it is fair or easy to say that it is an upgrade yet. I see some pluses. I like it, but I'm not trying to squander the optimism here, but I just want to have some realism injected with that optimism there. We'll find out, right? We'll see, and hopefully he's here for more than 1 year, and we can really judge and see what happens. And if he starts putting people into the NFL, which is where a lot of his experience comes from, his connections come from, that was an upgrade, right? But right now, I don't know that it's an upgrade. We'll see what happens. So long as Coach Bryan Harsin goes for it on 4th and 1, 2 from 50 or their 45, even at goal. Wow, that's a run-on sentence there. And tank in the backfield, I'll be happy. I'll be happy with 50% capacity. Don't want to put anyone's health at high risk. 50 is much better than 25. Absolutely, it's double your pleasure, right? At that point. I do think, I'm of the opinion, and not to get on this type of topic here, but, everybody should be given the choice whether they want to take on that risk or not. So if you think that's worth the risk, I think we should, allow people to do it. Not saying that I would. I might. But I think everybody should have that choice. Yehan, we got a man who's excited about recruiting an NFL coaching player and coaching experience. Can't complain at all. Yeah, not complaining here whatsoever. But how do we know that he's got recruiting experience? His experience is all in the NFL. Not try. I feel like I'm kind of just combating Yehan's optimism here, but just trying to inject a little bit of reality in there as well. Where's this notion about him being a great recruiter come from? Because we can say that about a lot of coaches. We could say that, in theory, about Tracy Rocker. There wasn't a lot of that to back it up. His coaching was there, but I don't NFL experience. Yes, I can't argue with that. I think that's a big upside for him, and I would be very excited to have him on simply for that. Boom, boom. Kind of upset because you and War Report are both live, but I like the involvement in your chat. Oh, well, see, that's Jack. So here's the thing. I've just now discovered who War Rapport, if I'm saying that right now, because somebody corrected me and got offended, I think, when I didn't pronounce it right. Excuse me. They're another YouTube channel. We're not primarily a YouTube channel. This is something we do as an auxiliary or an additional thing to our podcast network that y'all have really taken a latch onto. And honestly, that's what this is about. It's about connecting with you all. It is much less about me reporting the news and being that type of thing. And that's what our podcast network is about. It's about the Auburn family and about us being together. Even though my face is in front of here and I'm the one doing most of the communicating, I want the interaction to be there and stuff like that. So I hope you do find value in that. It seems like you do. Was on a decent Clemson line as well. So I do like the fact he comes from Clemson. Another ACC tie. So if you look at the staff, there's a lot of things to really like. You've got a lot of connections here, there. You got West Coast, Midwest, Southwest. You've got ACC, so the Atlantic Coast up that kind of way and stuff like that. And a strong SEC presence, which you're really going to need. So there's a lot of influences and connections to really be worked within the staff that I think are going to work really well. And I think the biggest upside for Eason at this point is his NFL connections and his time spent there. That's going to really appeal to some people in the defensive line. Probably will pull some away from some of the traditional powers if he can put a few people in the NFL in his first year or two. 3 out of the last 4 games are easy 40-point wins. However, that final stretch is tough. Well, the final stretch is always tough, right? Even when Georgia's not there. It's always tough with Alabama. is there these days. The bygone days of us enjoying, just counting down the wins on our hand, and looking to the Iron Bowl as the icing on the cake of our season. Those days are not here anymore, and it's tough, man. It is real tough. I think it. Look, hey, no, I'm not dogging you for your run-on sentences in any way. Just it was hard to kind of piece that together there for a second. He said that he's excited to start recruiting. That's more than we got from Rocker. Well, I hear you on that, but I don't think that's a fair way to say that he's great at recruiting just because someone's excited. Hey, let me tell you right now, I'm excited about recruiting. Doesn't make me a great recruiter whatsoever. That's why I'm sitting at this desk and not on a coaching staff anywhere. So not trying to dog the guy in any way. I just want us to temper. I want us to be excited about the things that are surefire, and that is his time at Clemson, great connections there with the ACC in that region, but also his NFL experience, which and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but to my knowledge, there's not a lot of that in the staffs thus far. So that, for me, is the big plus side of all this. And I was just thinking, too, had I known the War Report was going live right now, I probably wouldn't have gone. But this is just when I even said to you guys, usually during the middle of the week is a little bit busier work-wise for me, and I'm not able to go live. But if there's something big that happens with the schedule and everything, we're definitely going to do that. Joe, what's going on, man? By the way, I hope you saw that email I sent you explaining some things. So just check that out if you haven't. I want to get you some of those things that you're entitled to. LSU, Georgia, and Texas A&M. I think if we have a good October this year, we can surprise a lot of people. Definitely, yeah. So October in general is just make or break for Auburn fans, or for Auburn football teams in general, and college football in general as well. I mean, that's kind of where the separation happens. By the time you get to November, you know who's a legit contender and who's just kind of there. And that's definitely a time when we can figure that out and see if we're going to be one of those. Felix is here. Good to see you, Felix. Thanks for being here. Not an Auburn fan, but 8-4 would be a really good year in a first-year head coach. I agree, Brandon. In fact, I have, before the schedule was released and we were talking a lot of predictions, I've been predicting 8-5 with a bowl win. So I was actually predicting a 7-5 regular season year. But we'll see if my prediction changes here in just a second. I'll go through the schedule. We'll talk about it a little bit. And I want y'all all to do that too. Well, he can relate his NFL knowledge. Will connect with the kids. It can show them how to get there maybe. Absolutely. I think that's a huge plus side for him. And that's why when I talk about not liking his or not really putting a lot behind him being a great recruiter yet. I'm not trying to take away from the stuff that he does do well. That's just what I want to focus on at the moment. By the way, Twitter folks, if y'all have comments or questions, I see a lot of y'all are watching there. Please ask them. I will try to catch them as they go by very fast. But YouTube folks are right here in front, so that's why they kind of get the most of the interaction here. Have a friend of mine. He and I are both college students, and he's an AU and has noticed that D. Davis has put on some weight since coming to campus. I would hope so. If you're getting there early, and especially as a freshman, your job is to start getting your body ready to compete at college football. Jay Clay, what's going on, man? Thanks for being here on Twitter. So I would hope that he'd be putting on some weight right now, and he needs to do that to be ready to compete. If he is going to, a lot of people want him to start over Bo Nix. I don't think that's the right choice for him or Bo Nix at this point. I think Demetrius Davis needs a chance for this program to figure itself out before he's given the reins of it. And I think Bo Nix has a lot left in the tank. But him getting better, stronger, faster, more ready is only going to push Bo better. And that's we win in that scenario, because either we get a Bo who's been pushed to his absolute max and his absolute best, or we've got a rising star who's ready to take the helm now, or sooner than we thought. Let's see. The staff is super solid. Proven recruiters all around the country, playing and coaching experience, and then number to back it up. Can't wait to see what culminates to. Yeah, there's a lot of, we went from a lot of division and disagreement, and there's still obviously some there. I still maintain that firing Coach Malzahn was not the right decision. But, we have to move on from that and start talking about what the reality is now. There's a lot of good things to get really, really excited about with this program and this staff especially, and what could potentially be happening. Felix, you might be a little bit behind. Yes, we have hired, I keep wanting to say Jacob Eason because of the former quarterback at Washington and Georgia, because he was both of those places. Somebody help me out in the chat window. His full name, Kyle Eason. Coach Eason is what I've been calling him because I cannot for the life of me get off Jacob Eason. But yes, we have a defensive line coach. That kind of came out of the blue, and I was even kind of asking my sources, like, you hear anything? It's like, nothing solid, but I have a feeling that it's going to drop any second now. And he was right. He was right. Winter condition starts this week. Really looking forward to news moving into spring and A-Day. And I think the news is going to be very sparse as we move in until we get to actual announcements of when the spring practices is starting, all that kind of stuff. Jay Clay, if you're asking where Coach Eason is from, he is coming from the Cincinnati Bengals, I believe. And there is some discussion as to whether he was fired or hired away. I have heard it said it is a combination of the two. I think there was probably a mutual parting thought, and this was a great opportunity that would have happened. So that he took. Is he good? It's the big question, right? We won't know till at least year one. I think you should at least give him 2 years to figure that out. In terms of is he good, I don't know, but I will say that I like his NFL experience a lot. Is Auburn the only what? The other white meat from Alabama? Interesting. I don't know what that is. I wish Carl Lawson would come out of his. Okay, it's really hard to kind of keep up with that sometimes. Okay, yeah, it looks like we're caught up in chat now. All right, so we can keep bouncing around as much as you guys like, but I would like to go through the schedule. I think that would be fun to do, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And so here's what I would like to do. I'm going to pull this little image that Auburn put out today up, back and forth. I want to hear from you all confidence level that you think we win this game. As things stand right now, obviously we don't know the depth chart. We don't know is any more coaches going to leave us? What other craziness is going to happen? We don't even know what's going to happen in a COVID-19 world. But I'd like for you, as things stand at this moment, what your confidence level as we go through each of these games. And we won't take long to do this, but I'd like to, and I'll share you with mine, and that'll probably get to a maybe updated prediction from me now that I'm kind of seeing everything broke down home and away and the way it's going to be structured this year. By the way, I'm hoping Coach Bryan Harsin isn't so closed off when practice starts and lets the media see what's going more than 20 minutes at practice. So, Kenneth, I get that frustration, and I would like to see more too. But the more that the media sees, the more the opponent sees, right? I guess part of me understands the frustration that there was around Coach Malzahn only allowing 20 minutes. But I also don't want the other team seeing stuff. Just my opinion. And, I'm not saying it was necessarily the right call, but I think that personally, it wasn't the worst thing in the world that he did. Because the less they're seeing, the less the enemy is seeing. All right, let's do this here. All right, everybody now, chat window on YouTube, on Twitter. Let's walk through the schedule somewhat quickly here. The Akron Zips are coming to Jordan-Hare Stadium on September 4th. What's your confidence level percentage-wise? 0 to 100 that Auburn wins this game at home. Got to think that this is probably a situation where Auburn is probably going to be favored on September 4th at home opener against a lower, I don't know what you call it, mid-major conference team. 99.9 we got from Jay Clay on Twitter. 99.9. Trick it to let's see 9. Let's see, a win. 99%. Looks like everybody's saying 100% over Akron. I would say, I don't think I'm ever going to give anything a 100%, but you probably could give some of these ones 100%. So I'm going to say a 99.9%. We got a 200%. Nice, Felix. 200% confidence that we're going to win this game. All right, we'll keep moving right along here. That's the wrong cue card there, unless you wanted to see that. Here's the schedule again. On September 11th, well, it's a little hard hitting, but September 11th, Alabama State. Your confidence level that Auburn wins that game. Again, this is not even NCAA 1A or whatever you call it now. This is a non-FBS team that we're playing. Everybody has one of these every year, and Auburn tends to play an Alabama State school, unlike Alabama, who is scared to play the likes of Alabama States, the Jacksonville States. It used to be the South Alabamas, but now they're the Division FBS and all that kind of stuff. What is your percentage? Akron defeat. Akron defeat is a W for Auburn. I agree, Andrew. 100%, 97%. It's less likely than the Akron win, huh? I guess your Jay Clay says 99%, 99.9% for Felix. So it seems like we're all pretty confident that that's going to happen. That win. I don't think we need to spend much more time on that. All right, here's the first big one of the schedule. This is the first away game and I believe, if I'm incorrect, our first trip to Happy Valley, September 18th. Auburn, Penn State. Probably going to be a whiteout. I would love to be there. It's going to be awesome. So what is your percentage confidence that Auburn wins at Penn State? Your percentage confidence at Penn State. I really don't know what to make of this one, if I'm honest with you guys. Penn State struggled this year, but I don't want to take what either Auburn or Penn State did this year and use it and weigh it very heavily on what's going to happen next year. But what I am taking, what I know about Auburn now, in the state of flux that they're in, is can they get going? Can they get the offense rolling enough to go in on the road, maintain composure in Happy Valley? I'm a little worried about that. So for that reason, I'm going to take the safe bet and say 50% confidence that Auburn wins this game, because right now it literally is a push for me. I would have probably leaned more Penn State's favor a few days, even days ago, but I'll say that. I think it was 83.5 is what I saw here on Twitter. We've got a 85%, 66%, 80%, 75%. So before we move on to the next one, what do you think? Why do you think you're so confident about Penn State? Is it solely because of what happened to them this year? Because if that's the case, I'd be careful. I'd be very, very, very careful. Sports with Cord. What's going on, man? 65% at Penn State is what he says. Trickeration, 99%. Auburn wins in fourth quarter in an upset. Nice. Nice, Andrew. With an upset in the fourth quarter. I could definitely see this game going back and forth. Here's what I probably feel confident predicting. Auburn will get in a hole early at this game, fight back into it, and make it a game by the end of it. And kind of like he was saying with that fourth quarter where Auburn has maybe a chance to tie it up or win it, but just comes up a little bit short. That's kind of where I feel like right now, but I'm still going to put it at 50% because this is just kind of a push for me at this moment. All right, here's the schedule again. September 25th, Georgia State at home, back at home. So all of the home games at this point have been pretty, lack of a better term, boring. Georgia State is a FBS school, but they are not a FBS school that has much of an opportunity to do many big things, even though I think they did something this year pretty big. Confidence level that Auburn wins Georgia State at home, 0 to 100%. What say you, folks? 55% due to Harsin. I think we were talking about Penn State a second ago. Majority of the team has played in the Iron Bowl. Happy Valley shouldn't be an issue, a whiteout or not. It could be. It could be still an issue. It's a much different place than Alabama. They see that more often. 75% for Georgia State. Ooh, giving 25% chance to Georgia State there. 98%. This is for Georgia State, 99.9999%, 90%. I think we all know this is pretty much going to be a win, right? So I will say 99.9%. So at this moment, I'm kind of saying even though I've said 50% at a chance of winning at Penn State, I'm going to, in favor of a push, especially with what Auburn's got going on, I'm going to say Penn State wins that one. So I'm going to say right now we are 3-1 on the season. All right, let's keep moving right along. Next away game, the chance to take revenge on many, many years in Baton Rouge. If Auburn was going to do it, this year might be the best opportunity they'll get for a long time. LSU is currently down as a program, but how long will they stay down, and if all this season? Your confidence level that Auburn beats LSU in Baton Rouge. October 2nd, first game in October. That'll be a fun football weekend. You know, October always feels like the prime time of college football, where things just start happening crazily. That late September, early October, that's where it just really starts. Their separation happens, craziness happens, upsets are brewing. So yeah. What's your percentage level that Auburn beats LSU? I think this is, you might need to start putting the team that you're suggesting this with 90%. It has to end sometimes. That's a fair point. You might need to put the team with it, so because sometimes, especially on YouTube here, the percentages kind of mix up and I forget where we left off. But I think this is where it began. 45%, 75%, 65%. LSU 75%. Ooh. It's been a long time, but Auburn by 3 points. Harsin gonna want to make a statement for the SEC. Potentially Sports Record could potentially. 65% Auburn. 65% Auburn. Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know that you know what? Here's what I'm gonna say. Right now, I'd like to put this one at about a 55%. I think Auburn's going to be favored in this one, even on the road. I do think that they can get the monkey off their back, so to speak. And I think it is a high point. It will be, and when I say this, please hear me out, and I'm not trying to be mean to Coach Harsin, one of the few high points of the Coach Harsin first year. And when I say few, it doesn't mean there's not going to be any others and not some great ones. But I think, personally, this is going to be one of the higher points of the Coach Harsin era. Few probably should have been left out of there, but that's what I'm sticking with at this point. Thomas says LSU 70%, 50% at LSU, Bo over the top. So let me clarify, when you guys are giving your percentages, we're obviously asking the percentage that Auburn wins, confidence, but just give me the game that is with, if that makes sense. I don't know if some of you guys are doing that. I think it is, but maybe not. All right, we'll keep looking at the schedule here. Georgia back at home. Time for some revenge. October 9th. Home game. Deep South's oldest rivalry. Your percentage confidence that Auburn wins. 75% that Auburn wins at LSU. Gotcha. What say all of you? Let's see. 55% versus Georgia. Got one prediction in there. This is at home, too. 65% that Auburn wins. A lot of you are very confident. We got a 50%, so we got another push over here from Jay Clay. We've got a 70% from Felix. It's going to be a tough one on 50. We got another push over here. So it seems to me like the prevailing theme is that Auburn is favored to get the win here. Here's where y'all are not going to like me. Auburn is due for a wake-up call at some point, and if they were able to either pull off the upset over Penn State or LSU at this point, I think they would get a little bit of a wake-up call, and I think it would be against Georgia even at home, and I think it'll be a bit of a frustrating time for Auburn fans. I just want to be LSU, and I know the fervor with which so many of you I live in Georgia as well, and I want to beat the little puppy dogs into a pulp too. But it's going to be tough. It will be tough to do that next year. So I'm going to say currently that I'm going to put 45% chance that Auburn wins that one, even though it's at home. Auburn, I don't feel good about getting the win there at this point. So currently my record is about 4-2, I think is what I have us set at currently right now. All right, we'll keep trucking along here. By the way, we're halfway through this. If you have not done so, please do make sure you smash that like button if you are enjoying this content today. It does help the stream out. Apparently, we're competing with another live stream at this point, which I'm sure they're doing far better at because that's probably what they do for their living or whatever. But yeah, hit that like button if you're enjoying this content today. All right, let's keep moving through the schedule here. Arkansas, October 16th, on the road in Fayetteville. What is your percentage confidence that Auburn beats Arkansas? Post that now. Dogs have no bites. Stereotypical Auburn fan says 80% versus Arkansas. 89 we win at Arky. Anybody else got any predictions out there? I'll throw down I think a 75% that Auburn wins on this one. Not because I think Arkansas is going to be leaps and bounds better. I think they'll be about the same as this year. Able to shock a few people. They shouldn't. 61%. It's very specific, but it's a little concerning there. 85% Auburn wins. Auburn knows Georgia. Harsin knows Georgia from past encounters. Andrew says he will take specials to pull this off at 65% chance over Georgia. 90% for Arkansas. 85%. The upset game for me. Cord, you're gonna have to explain that one. So I think Cord is gonna have to explain himself if they're calling an Arkansas upset here. Gus Malzahn's not here anymore, guys. I don't necessarily think there's going to be that type of game, and that would definitely fit that category of Auburn losing someone they shouldn't. But explain yourself, sir. Brad says 80% over Arkansas. All right, let's keep moving right along here as everybody else keeps thinking about this. Pull this back down here. Back at home on October 30th, almost Halloween. Ole Miss always seems to fall close to Halloween, but Ole Miss Rebels at home. Next encounter with Lane Kiffin. His offense is probably going to be churning. The question is, do we have a defense that can stop that again? Ole Miss, October 30th. Who do you have winning that? Percentage confidence. Because right now my record stands at 5-2. 5-2, I think is what I had. Yeah. 80% over Ole Miss, 65% over for Kenneth over Ole Miss. Anybody else want to share their percentage confidence that you got? I'll say even right now with a defense that's probably going to be trying to pick itself back at 45%. Wow, Jay Clay says 45%. I'm worried about the defense next year, to be honest with you guys. I'm not like worried that it's going to be bad. I just think it's going to have some holes that we're probably not able to fill as quickly as we need. And I think this is a team that could exploit that. But I will say that Auburn gets this win in a bit of a nail biter. I'll say 55% confidence. Who knows? We have no idea what we will look like. Well, then we'll just end the stream right here. I'm just messing with you, Pokey Dots. That's the whole point of doing this. We're just having fun speculating at this point. 85% Auburn wins. I just think it's talking about Arkansas. I think it's going to be a tough week with Georgia, and we're going to have to come in kind of laggy with Arkansas. It's fair point. Fair point. I can get behind that thinking. 85% he says though for Ole Miss. Auburn always beats Ole Miss at home. 90%. Fair point as well. I'm worried about that Lane Kiffin offense after what it was able to do last year. If they get a good quarterback in there, it's going to be it's going to be deadly. A little bit worried about that one. All right. Keep moving right along here. There's a tough one. Kellen Mond shouldn't be there anymore. But percentage confidence that Auburn beats Texas A&M in College Station on November 6th. What do you think? What do you think? Now, traditionally in this series, since Texas A&M has joined the SEC, the home team has lost. Auburn broke that on a Seth Williams catch that I was at, and in that end zone watching that game. Broke that tradition, and they kind of got back on track with Auburn beating Texas A&M last year, and then this season that just finished, them beating us here. So we got back on track. So it lends you to think that Auburn traditionally, theories wise would be in favor of this one, but Texas A&M probably is a program that's churning right now, and you might want to fear. 85%. Okay, this was, I think we're back here. 40% versus A&M, 55%, 59%, 60%. Auburn wins. We don't lose there ever. That's a great point. I don't. This is speechless at this point. I don't know. Again, this is kind of like the Penn State game. I don't really know what to think of all of this, of the Texas A&M team. I kind of need to know who their quarterback is going to be next year and who's around him. If they have a lot of the key pieces there still, potentially. Right now, I just don't feel comfortable picking Texas A&M or picking us to beat Texas A&M. So I'm going to say that Auburn has a 40% chance to win in College Station. So that stands for my record being at, I think, if I looked at this right on here, because I said we'd beat Ole Miss and Arkansas. So currently we would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'd be 6-3 at Texas A&M is what I predicted. All right, next game, Mississippi State, November 13th. First, the game just before South Carolina. Mississippi State at home in Jordan-Hare. Your percentage of confidence that Auburn wins this game against Mississippi State. 45% going to be tough in College Station, even without Mond. I agree. Hasn't lost at A&M, 80%. Yeah, I mean, history says that we won't lose, but I'm worried about it. Jay Clay says 85% in the Mississippi State game. 90% versus Mississippi, 100%. We had 100% out there. I feel pretty confident about this one, too, to be completely honest with you. So I'm going to put this one into probably about the 80% range where I'm sitting at right now. I do think that Auburn's going to be favored in this one and probably will take care of business and probably be one of the last few games. Well, we got another one coming up here in a second, so I shouldn't say that. But it's going to be a great preparation leading up to the final, very important game of the season. So, yeah, Auburn gets the win there. So I think that puts me at 8-2 on the year. It's a pretty good season thus far, 8-2 going in. 8-3, excuse me. Not 8-3, 7-3. I'm trying to get all the math right here. Let's look at the record here. Or the schedule, excuse me. South Carolina, November 20th. We're going to play it right before Alabama. It's not the worst team you could play before Alabama. It's still going to be a tough place, tough to play and go back to Bryce Williams Stadium. If you missed your opportunity to go there this past season, you got another opportunity if they allow people in. Your percentage confidence that Auburn beats South Carolina, November 20th, in Bryce Williams Stadium. Stadium. I think this one's got a pretty high percentage, if I'm completely honest. Jay Clay says 89%. He's with the specific percentage. I'm trying to go rounded stuff like 5s and 10s and stuff like that. He's being very, broad with that. Come on, man. 90% Auburn wins against MSU. I got 95% against State. I'm catching up on all these. Ryan says the Penn State game should be fun. One and sold out Happy Valley. And 10-1 is my prediction for the season. That is brave. That is really brave. This won't be no 6-3 halftime score. All right, 80% on South Carolina, 99%, 90%, 75%, 99%, 95%. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Very high likelihood that Auburn wins this one. I'm only going to put it at about 80 simply because it is on the road. But I think Auburn does get the win here. So currently, heading into the last game of the season, I have Auburn with 3 losses. Let's look at the schedule here. Auburn with 3 losses. So that's, they've beaten Akron, Alabama State, Georgia State, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. They have lost, in my opinion, to Penn State, to Georgia, to Texas A&M, and then there's that Alabama game at home. What say you, everybody? Your percentage confidence that Auburn gets the Iron Bowl victory. Here's what tends to happen with me as I get close to the Iron Bowl is my confidence level starts to go up, especially if it's at home and even if it's on the road. We don't know what Alabama's going to look like next year. By all accounts, I think they're losing Waddle. I think they're losing, what's his name, Heisman guy. They're losing the running back. They're losing a bunch of their offensive. They're losing everybody, but they tend to reload. Mac Jones will still be there, I believe. So, a lot of question marks out there for Alabama, and it depends on what their schedule looks like, too. Chances are they will still be pretty good, decently good. So how does that make you feel about that game? 25%. Adrenaline, 99%. Auburn, 51 over Alabama. 35-49, a 5%. 60% if we beat Georgia this year, 30% if we lose to them. Interesting. I don't think Georgia has any effect on an Alabama game. Case in point, not last season, but the season before that, lost to Georgia, beat Alabama at home. Auburn, 70%. Auburn plays Bama the best at home. Auburn played the best at home under Coach Malzahn. Can Bryan Harsin do the same? We shall see. I hope so. I think he can, but we shall see. At home, 65%. Auburn wins, 51% over Bama. Mac Jones is gone. I thought Mac Jones was staying. Am I wrong? Somebody correct me on that. 30% in the Iron Bowl. So literally, we have every end of the spectrum here. We've had a 90%, I think. We've had a 5%. So already we're kind of sitting on that 50% by public opinion here. I'm just going to tell you, as confident as I am in Jordan-Hare Stadium, as much as I love to beat the Tide, I just don't feel comfortable enough to say that we would beat them. It might be close, and we probably likely will make it close, but I would say that they would be our fourth loss on the season thus far. So at this point, I'm saying 8-4 on the regular season, which means we don't go to the SEC championship game. That means that all we're sitting on there waiting is a bowl win. And at an 8-4 season, that means you get a pretty decent bowl. So which means that you probably would get a decent opponent. So there's that chance that Kyle could be right with his prediction of 8-5 if you get a loss in the bowl game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and speculate that. I just feel that if we go 7-5, we're going to get a much lesser bowl, a more easy to beat opponent in a bowl game. And I think an 8-win team gets a much better team to play and might have a higher chance of losing a game. So I'm just saying right now, I at least in the regular season, my prediction has already increased to 8 wins. So that's what I'm going to stick with, 8-4 at the time of this broadcast right now. We'll see if my opinion changes on that. All right, let's see what everybody else is saying here. We will make it to the playoffs 10-0, record loss. Record loss to Bama by what? Yeah, I think we can. I don't know that we'll make the playoffs this year. Devonta and Waddle gone, and Harris too. Doesn't matter about Mac Jones. They have Russell Wilson 2.0 waiting. That we think. Again, it's kind of the same argument that a lot of people are making about Demetrius Davis. Just because someone looks good in high school doesn't mean it translates onto the field. Now, it probably will, because the kid looks good, in practices and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see. Got a question. If we go 8-4, because Gus did that, how do you think fans will feel? It's a great question, Cord. Let me come back to yours because I have to. The Twitter people sometimes I have to catch theirs. Is it true that Bobo has the top quarterback in the country in 2022? The Gunner Stockton kid. He went with him to South Carolina, decommitted once Bobo left. So the prevailing thought is that he has a good chance of coming to Auburn. So in a way, yes. It depends on which recruiting service you look at, and you have to always remember too that he resides in the heart of Clemson and South Carolina, Clemson and Georgia territory, and those are two programs that want him real bad. So don't think just because he's here, that Bobo's here, that he's coming. But there's a good shot for him now. Let's come back to Cord's question here. Got a question. If we go 8-4, because Gus did that, how do you think the fans will feel? If you're talking about the overall majority, I think everybody who is a reasonable-minded person understands what Coach Harsin is trying to put together here. And you can't expect 10-1 or 12 or 11-1, 12-0, 10-2. That would be great if he does that. It'd be a nice surprise. But I think most people will take an 8-4 season. Doesn't mean that you have to like it and be happy that we have 4 losses, especially if those are to the usual suspects. But I think 8-4, no surprising losses. That's a pretty good start to the Harsin era. Very similar to Gene Chizik too, right? And it kind of falls in line with what I thought would happen. So 8-4, I think it's pretty good. We go 8-4, lose 1. We shouldn't. Well, in my theory, Brad, Penn State, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Alabama, all of those are not bad losses. Those are just losses that wouldn't be surprising. I think we'll be at every game. We can be, especially with Georgia and Alabama at home. Texas A&M is going to be tough. Penn State's going to be tough. Those are ones that potentially could get out of hand. Year one, Harsin gets a pass here on year one, if not perfect. I agree, Pokey Dots. Let's see. Matthew, if we go 11-2 with an SEC championship win and make the playoffs, we can. I don't know that it's going to happen. You need to lower the expectations just a little bit for the first year. But I'm not going to complain if that happens. Look what happened to Bo Nix, by the way, one of my favorite hires today. So, Rise, please share with us why you love the Coach Eason hire for a defensive line, because I think a lot of people are excited about it simply because of the way Tracy Rocker left, but I'd love to hear opinions of actually why that is. Other than, I think his biggest plus side is his NFL connections. War Productions is here. He says, I like our chances versus UGA if we walk into it undefeated. I don't think we're walking into it undefeated, but we'll see. Rise Life says, I'm sorry, but if we get 5 losses, that would be bad. 4 losses with close wins would be great. I think 5 losses would be a little bit disappointing, but it might be a possibility. You might need to prepare yourself for that. I think the fans like me just want to win the big games and not lose games we shouldn't. And I'm good with losing in a good close game. There you go. And I think that's a very healthy way, Core, to approach this season and to try to temper your expectations and be pleasantly surprised when something better happens. Is it true that Rocker went to Harsin and said, can you match the Eagles? And Harsin said, have a great time in Philadelphia. Felix, you always got to be careful with what you hear on rumors online. You know, I tend to subscribe to the theory of where there's smoke, there's fire, but to what degree? So there might have been a little bit of that, but even if that was the case, wouldn't that tell you that his heart's not here at Auburn? So he might have tried to play for a little bit of an extra payout. Excuse me. Didn't mean to mock that, but I don't know that really happened. I don't put a lot of stock in that. His ability to transform the Bengals' defensive line. Now, a lot of people would disagree the other way on that said that he didn't transform that all that much because of the tumultuous time there at Bengals. I know there's some discrepancy and some disagreement about who really was the problem at Cincinnati, but there is a discussion about whether he was pushed out, and that's what opened him up for this opportunity. Let me go here. Last 2 coaches has played for a national championship within 2 years. Coach Harsin will keep that streak going. I love it, man. Tommy, I love your optimism. I do think in year 2, Coach Harsin can surprise a lot of people and put us in contention. I don't think that we'll get there, but I think we will be in contention for the SEC title and potentially the playoffs. I'm feeling like a 10-2 season and maybe just on the outside of the playoffs. Hope we pay the new defensive line coach one more than Rocker. That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? Just to stick it to him. Look, you know, Tracy Rocker's an Auburn man. I hate the way that he chose to kind of play this out. However, he did. I would have loved to see him come back, but his heart obviously isn't here. And I want people that want to be here. So very unfortunate for that. All right, we're gonna say goodbye to the Twitter folks. Thank y'all so much for being here. YouTube folks get a few more minutes here because I don't know, because they're special. Thanks for being here, Twitter folks. All right, guys. Last minute comments and questions. And when I say last minute, doesn't mean we're like leaving this minute. I'm going to give you some announcements and then we'll get out of here. But go ahead and get your comments and questions. Can be about anything, this topic, something else that you want to talk about. I know a lot of you, I think, were over at the War Report, apparently, that was going live. I didn't know that, or I wouldn't have gone live. Because I think that's where a lot of you are coming in from, potentially. Yeah, but welcome. And by the way, if you haven't, please do make sure you smash that like button since you just got here. All right, here's the announcements. As usual, most of you know the drill here. Just want to remind you that if you haven't, please do go check out our podcast. I'm going to put the link again for you to go on Apple Podcast and check that out. It's on any podcast app out there if you would like to check it out. If it's not on the one of your choice, please let me know. we'll get it out there for you. Also, if you're an Apple Podcast subscriber currently, I really could use you to do a huge favor for me. If you haven't, please go give us a review, even if it's a 1-star review. That it helps us learn and grow if it's constructive criticism. But that would be a huge help in helping spread the word about the E2C network. If you want to help support the content that we do here, and we've had several of you that have done that on the E2C Network Booster Club, the link is in the chat window along with the podcast link. You can do that there and sign up for as little as $1 a month. And you can actually sign up right now for the $1 amount, not have to pay it till the beginning of the next month, and get some of the free stuff already, some communications, things like that. So go check that out if you haven't. And if you haven't subscribed here, hit that notification bell. Do it because you'll know when we go live. Because as you can tell, normally I do this maybe late morning, midday type of stuff. Here we are at 9 o'clock, almost 10 o'clock at night Eastern time. So you just never know. All right, let's see. Let me back up and get some of y'all's comments and questions. If we get an offense going, I think we have a good chance. Absolutely. I think anybody who has a good offense has a good chance. But yeah, even Tuberville made the SEC championship within 2 years and Coach Bowden undefeated in his first year. I think Coach Bowden, though, inherited a lot of good things. Not to take anything away from him because he still had to get the team ready and prepped. But I do think that I don't put as much stock as that as I put in like a Tommy Tuberville year 2 or a Gus Malzahn year 1 or a because Gus Malzahn, well, he may have inherited some talent. That team was in a wreck. It was an absolute wreck when he got there. Here's the thing with Auburn. Once we get to the SEC championship, we always lose. Not always. It does happen, though. It does happen. Matthew says probably go 8-5 with losses to Bama, Penn State, Georgia, LSU, and our bowl game. I think, and that's kind of what I said is a fair possibility here. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's actually going to be more of an 8-4 season. 9-4. 8-4 regular season. Not great, but not bad for Bryan Harsin's first season. Maybe Bo Nix's starter status in question. I don't think so, Matthew, and I think anybody that currently thinks this in question is not really being what's the kind word to say it? Is not being very thorough in their thinking. I think they're looking. They've got those. They keep looking. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an expression that happens. I just wouldn't get your sights set on Bo Nix not being the starter next year. Big Simp. Yes, we are glad that you finally got to be here live. It's nice to see some new faces on the live portion of it. Although we do love you people that watch on the replay as well. All right, War Production says year 1 8-5 to 9-4, year 2 9-4 to 11, and then year 3 11-2. It's not a bad trajectory there. Keeps going up, right? Rise Live thinks we should beat Penn State. I've said it's a push, but in a push situation on the road, I'm going to give it to the home team. So that's Penn State's favorite, and that's why I said we'd lose to them. LSU 100%. Not 100. Good chance to beat them finally and break that curse, though. I was there earlier, but you came on, so I left that podcast. Well, Felix, thank you. I appreciate your vote of confidence in me for doing that. Our philosophy is this: is that every Auburn content creator out there, we encourage, we love seeing that out there. We don't really view people as competition. We view them as potential partnerships if they would like to do something like that. So glad you came over here, though. We probably won't beat Penn State. You know what happens when Bo Nix plays on the road. Well, Matthew, I think that's a little bit unfair. But, I understand why you feel that way. Let me say this. Their defense is losing multiple top-tier players, and their offense is losing a guard and attacker. You're talking about Penn State. Hope Cooper comes back for another year for Auburn basketball so he can enjoy playing in front of the jungle. If there was a player that you could convince to come back for another year, I think it's Sharif Cooper. But if he keeps going, though, the type of money, if he gets drafted in the top 3 like Okoro, can you blame the dude? Excuse me, top 5 like Okoro did. Can't blame the dude for leaving. Can't blame it at all. We are 3-3 in the SEC championship game. I wouldn't say always. Exactly. Thank you for getting the math down there on that. Thomas says New Year's 6 bowl game, but missed the playoffs. It's still pretty good. Ryan Rise Life says, to be honest, the Gus Malzahn, Nick Marshall thing actually should have been a bad record. A lot of miracles, and kind of the same for Cam. We should have lost to Clemson and Bama. So, Rise, are you wishing that would have happened? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. I know I'm just kind of, prodding the bear here a little bit, so bear with me. But I've never understood that mentality. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. So we can say all it was one big player, but you had to go get that player. You had to take those situations that came to, and if you want to talk about miracles, it's a miracle that Georgia got that touchdown that led to it resulted in us having to do the prayer in Jordan here. And it wasn't a miracle in the Iron Bowl because that, we were going to go to overtime. That was a great coaching decision by Coach Malzahn, who decided to shift who was going to be received, because it was Ryan Smith in the back, not Chris Davis, who was about to receive the kick. And they switched it up. Great coaching decision. So I hear your opinion about miracles and stuff like that, but it's always where opportunity meets preparation. Always. That's what luck is. Penn State is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I expect a large Auburn crowd attending if they allow us to. One of my bucket list games. I agree, Thomas, and it would be great if we could all figure out a way to meet up there. If we can do that. I've got friends in Pennsylvania, and so if some of them ever see this live stream, I might be hitting them up for a place to stay or something like that. I don't know how close they are to Penn State, but yeah, I am. I'm excited, and I would love to go up there to go see that. 8-4, Brandon says, worst 9-3 with a New Year's Six bowl game. After 2017 SEC championship loss to Georgia, I've learned to keep my expectations low. Playing Akron and Alabama first two games is a perfect exhibition games, installing new offensive defense. I do think, Tommy, that those line up very well, leading into what are going to be some more challenging games, especially with Penn State on the road. So it couldn't have laid out a better way for Coach Harsin in his first two games. See, I'll catch you on the next live. Yeah, Sports Record. Always great to see you here. Appreciate you talking with me over here. We've met a lot of people in here, and there's two people that I think the exact same as me, and that's Sports with Cord and E Money. And I haven't seen E tonight, but he is, he's that. Had to leave midway through the predictions. Brennan and Daniels were with a full year under their system will be dangerous. LSU and Georgia respectively. I agree. So that's why I'm not so confident about. That's why I think we lose to Georgia, and that's why I think I can't really say officially that I feel really confident about the LSU game. Any plans on the E2C tailgate this season if it's allowed? So Thomas, I don't know if you asked this the first time we said this, but we've always tried to do at least one meetup. It wasn't necessarily a tailgate. We did a tailgate in our early days where we had less of a following than we did now, and so we've had people show up to it and things like that. What I've tried to do is make appearances in conjunction with other people's stuff. But if people want it, all you got to do is ask, and we'll see. You just got to get people to show up. That's the thing. Do you watch any FCS E2C? If you're asking about a football championship series, not really. Not really. I really don't watch too much of that. Harsin's going to look very good in the first two games and is going to get people's hopes up. Just be careful, Auburn fans. Is the LSU game in LSU? If so, yeah, it will be a close one. Yes, it is in LSU. It will be. All I can ask for is to be competitive in every game under Harsin. Unfortunately, we couldn't say that about Gus. In every game, no. And I think the expectation to be competitive in every game is still too high. Because things happen. There's been times that Alabama wasn't competitive in a game, believe it or not. I get what you're saying, though, and I just you want to see those unexpected, unusual losses that are fewer and far between. Bryce Young will be one of the worst Bama quarterbacks in years. Bold prediction. Hey, I hope that bold prediction is right, my friend. I really do hope that is right. I don't think he's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think he's going to be probably exactly what Alabama needs, which is basically how they do things. Tommy, I agree with that statement. The Bo Nix career is going very similar to Jason Campbell, which is it's kind of tragic, to be honest with you. But it's also very poetic in the same way. Same thing, different coordinator every single year. Who knows if that's going to keep the trend's going to be there? But people wrote off Jason Campbell, and look how wrong they were. And so when I not confront, but I tried to challenge people on the notion that Bo Nix's time is done and that he has reached his full potential. And some people have gotten offended by that, apparently. You're disqualifying what happened with Jason Campbell when you say that, because Jason Campbell was dead to rights, and look what he did. So never forget about that. Make Bama poop again. Oh, Rise Life. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. If you enjoyed the stream on the way out, please do smash that like button. I really appreciate y'all being live this late at night. Didn't expect to do this late or do one like this, but there was too much going on not to do it. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you here, and we'll be back again soon. War Eagle.